So let's bounce up here to the top. Actually, we'll use our output preview here in the top. And I'm going to actually just back all the way out here to the very top of our network because I want to be able to, with my parameters open, click this Touch Start Pulse button. So far these are 3 projectors, which doesn't seem particularly helpful. Well, let's see where this starts to get really wild and exciting. So back here in VS Code, in the folder called Data, there's a config file, JSON config file. You can locate that in your network by looking at large systems. There's a folder called Data. That's the same config file we're looking at. And here we've got a description that's all in JSON that tells us exactly how our project is set up. Okay, we can see here that render 1 is 3 channels, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. Okay, it pulls from these modules that are in a folder called modules. Okay, so far some of this is looking mighty familiar so far, right? This happens to be the same path to where some of our operators live as prototypes, as blueprints. Let's look at our channels. So our channels, we've got a projector, 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 projector. Okay, well, these are all projectors. How might we think about adding some other types of operators? Because we made all those other blueprints, so like I want to have access to those. What gives? So we're going to do a little JSON editing. Our favorite thing in the world, said no one ever. Kidding. We love JSON. Let's copy this set here, right? So from this curly brace all the way up past the top of projector, copy. I'm going to make some spaces. I'm going to paste that in my network. I need to make sure that I add a comma after every new entry that I have here. So I know I've got a projector. I know I've got an LED as a type. And then I also know, copy, paste. I need to make sure, again, I have that comma in there. I have an LCD. Now here, this is actually the path that points to which talks I want. So I'm going to go ahead and bring back my little folder over here. I'm going to look in large systems, in modules, in blueprints. Okay, so container projector, container projector. LED should be container LED, okay. And inside of that folder, there should be a container LED talks, all right. LED, all right. Let's take a look at LCD. LCD, same container LCD folder. LCD, okay. And similarly, the talks is container LCD. Okay, great. Let's save that. Let's look at our channels. All right, so a projector, a projector, a projector. What if I did a LED, a projector, and an LCD? These keys here in my channels point down here to my channel type. So as long as LED matches LED, projector matches projector, and LCD matches LCD, if I save this, come back to touch, and run my touch start, nothing happens. What gives? Aha, well, we have one other bit that we get to noodle with, and that is that here in our text startup execute, or excuse me, rather in our on our par execute, we need to uncomment that touch start. Let's save that. I put in a bunch of safety mechanisms so we couldn't end up with errors unexpectedly. You know, best case, best intentions crushed in the wild. Anyway, okay, so here we go. We've saved that. Hopefully in this case we can touch start, and we should now see LCD, projector, LED, projector, LCD. Okay, well, what if the dimensions change? Oh, I love that question. So let's scroll down here. Okay, so this one is 1280 by 720. This one, well, what if it's like, I don't know, 1024 by 720? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and restart. Okay, look at that. Its dimensions changed. Okay, all right. What if it was 1024 by 600? Okay, let's save that. Let's touch start. Oh my goodness. All right, I love that. That's all right. So what if it was 1920 by 1080. 1080. Save. Let's touch start again. Okay, great. So we can see right away that what we're quickly running into is that we're now no longer driving the operation of this from configuring our touch network by hand, but we are instead letting TouchDesigner configure itself based on what's inside of our config file. I'm going to change this back to 1280 by 720, save this. And now I want to take a look at this output list business. Well, before we do that, let's take a look up here at nodes. Because the number of channels, this is really telling us the order that they're set up in, and as well as how many of them there are. So for example, let's get rid of channel 3 here. Let's save and touch start. Now we only have 2 output windows, an LED and a projector. Those again match down here, right? Our channels were an LED and a projector. You know what? Every venue is new and exciting and different, and sometimes you go to plug something in and it is not routed the correct way some way down the line. The show is going to start in 5 minutes, and what do? Well, I actually need to switch the order of these. Let's just change the order of those in the list. So it's going to be channel 2 and then channel 1, right? Hopefully we should just see these switch places. They just switch places. Okay, fine. You know what? Never mind. It's actually channel 1 and channel 2. I'm going to go back. I've got Chan 3 that lives in this project also. But you know what? On this particular night, I've got 3 displays hooked up and my controller. What do? Well, we've got this handy output lists business. And if we look over here in our folder for our project, I'm going to go back to large systems. We'll see there's this extra output .json file. And if we look in that output JSON file, we can see that the output list is solo render 001. When I check our config, solo render 001 is just this goober. Okay, what if we add another entry called mixed controller? And this time, I make a list that's controller. And let's go ahead and put some nice little quoteses around that. Comma. I want this render also. Let's save that. I'm going to borrow this mixed controller key. I'm going to put that back over here in my output list and save it. Right, so now this mixed controller in my output list matches an entry that I've made for my JSON, my config file called mixed controller. All right, I'm going to save both of those. Let's touch start. And now I've got, boom, a controller and 3 outputs. The beauty of this is, let's say that from night to night, the only thing that's changing is which one of these configurations. All you have to do is change this file. Worst case scenario, you're using the same setup, right? And you just have to change these 2 files. So you go to one club, you've got a different set of config files for another club, a different set of config files for another club. That's pretty swell. That's, that's all right. I'm feeling good about that. There is some more exciting stuff that we could probably push on just a little bit here. Because we've got all this video here, and that's swell. I mean, I like that an awful lot. But like, what if I had, for example, some things set up here in my assets, right? This is actually where my my cool, sweet rendering is happening, or my video files live. I want a way to actually drive and configure how some things are working actually from this place. Well, because I don't want my default videos to show up. Like, that's great when I'm getting started, but like, I want some content. Okay, so let's add some new movie files. And these, right, I'm going to go ahead and add nulls to these. Alt-N. Yeah, love that shortcut. Right, the idea here is that this could be any set of movie bins. In fact, you probably got, well, it depends, right? If it's one big long canvas, maybe it's one file that you're then cropping. Maybe it's a file that you're texturing on a piece of geometry, and then you're actually doing the rendering here, the perspective rendering. Maybe you've got some other configuration you've got to work with, or you have like an A/B deck that you've got to wrangle. Any number of things could be happening over here. So this is our out one, or let's call this video 1 for now, video 2, video 3. All right. And then we're going to play this other game, the select game. Oh my God, Matt, why are we doing this? Well, you'll see here in just one moment. Boom. It's this one. It's this one. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, let's make sure these have different videos on them. All right, there's a Bonanza. There's the Matler. There's the, what else can we have here? Maybe it's the oil drums. You can never get enough oil drums. All right, and let's, on these selects, let's make sure these also have nulls. This time, I want this to be null chan 001. I want that to actually match, copy, paste, paste, the same convention for what's happening here down in my draw, chan 001, chan 002, chan 003. I want that to have a matching namespace identity. And the reason that I want that is that if I take a look back over here in my config file, in my output extension, or excuse me, rather in my draw extension is where this happens to live, we'll see that when we create our nodes, we're not only creating these things, but we have a whole set of parameters that we could change, right? So all those top level parameters here, right? We can set all of these in there when they're created.